morning. Welcome to the stream. I just put my first batch in. I'm gonna play a couple songs. I gotta start baking. I gotta stir my pot. Wash my hands. bake some bagels. I got my first batch in the pot. They're almost ready. I'm gonna stir it here. Yes, I'm making bagels, Montreal style, or AKA Canadian style, because we're not in Montreal. I've never been to Montreal, so I'm making them. I'm making Montreal bagels Vancouver style, we'll say, if you will. If you will. There we go, we got our first batch on the table. Just gonna dress them in sesame seeds. Well, I gotta loosen up a bit. I'm a little stiff this morning. I shaved this morning. My face is really itchy for some reason. I think it's because I'm shaved. I think it's because I shaved. The air is hot in here. I think it's gonna be a warm day. Yeah, it's gonna be plus 26 degrees Celsius here in Vancouver. North Vancouver, I should say. I'm a big fan of North Vancouver. I don't live in North Vancouver, but I've worked here for like 5 years, so I know it pretty good. If I could afford a house in North Vancouver, I'd buy one, but they're pretty expensive. And I'm just a baker, so. It is not a blue-collar neighborhood, that's for sure. At one point, North Vancouver would have been very blue collar. It used to be, I think there's a lot of fishing. I think in this area there's quite a bit of mining activity, tons of forestry in this area. It's undergone a few decades of gentrification though. We're pretty busy. I work at this location. I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Obviously, there's no customers right now because it's currently 4 o'clock a.m. We don't open till 7, so yeah, we don't have any customers right now. If that's what you're wondering. But we have quite a few customers. We're in a busy part of the city. And there's a lot of foot traffic, and right across from the Starbucks and a busy grocery store. So yeah, we do pretty good here. I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I think Friday is probably the busiest day that I work here. But our weekends are super busy. I don't work weekends at this location. I work weekends at another location. We have 6 locations, 2 in North Vancouver, 2 in Vancouver, and 1 in Richmond, and 1 in Surrey. I'm going to recite some poetry this morning. Just get my brain unfogged. I need to get something first. I guess we're good. Hamlin, Townsend, Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Western, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests of the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last, the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and And as for our corporation, shocking to think we buy gowns lined with ermine for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing. At this the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence, for a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap. This, he said, is what you have. At the chamber door with a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor, what's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat, nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister, than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself is tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek, nor beard on chin. But lips for smile went out and in, there was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, it's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from the painted tombstone. He advanced towards the council table, and please, Your Honor, said he, I am evil. By me seek a charm to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper. And here they noticed round his neck the scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check. And that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing, upon this pipe, as low it dangled, over confessioner's soul dangled. Yes, said he, Pied Piper as I am, in Tartaria friendly camp, and last June for this huge swarms of gnats, I eased in Asia than I am, of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and the muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, brave rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to rat-lad Homer's commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as a scraping tripe, and pointing apples wondrous ripe, into the cider presses bright, and moving away in pickle tub boards, leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice, sweeter far than by Harper by Salisbury's breeze, called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast rice-saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your lunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone. Gracious, scarce an inch before me, just methought it said, come bore me. I found the west rolling over me." You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells as they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nest and block up the holes. consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face the piper perked in the marketplace. The first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. For council dinners we'd wear havoc, with Corre, Moselle, being the Grave Hawk, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, wasn't joke. Besides, their losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell, and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promised a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the prime the head cook's pottage. All he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture piebald? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe a smooth straight cane. And ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as the musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a buster, and Mary found justling and pitching and hustling, small finger pattering, wood shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, and like foals in a farm where there's barley and scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping her and merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood, as if they're changed in a block of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by. Could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and half the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street, to where the west had rolled its waters, riding the way of their sons and daughters. Power returned from south to west, and to Copperberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. And lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed, the piping advanced and the children followed. When all were in at the very last, the door on the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance a whole the way. And in after years, if you'd blame the sadness he was used to say, as dull in our towns as my playmates left, I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights I see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town at Jeff's hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, flowers that court the fair view, and everything was strange and new. The sparrows bright as peacocks here, their dogs are round our fellow deer, and honeybees have lost their stings, and horses were born of eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot be speedily cured, the music stopped and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, there came to many a burger's pate, a text which says at heaven's gate, opes the rich at his easy rate, as a needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east, west, north, and south, to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he returned the way he went, bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost endeavor, the piper dances were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, and the better memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sure for his future lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern to shock with mirth the street so solemn. And opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on a great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say, in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress in which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison into which they were trepanned a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers, scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats and mice, if we promise not, let us keep our promise. That was the Pied Piper of Hamlin. Where did I learn poetry? I have a university degree. I have an English, a Bachelor of Communication and Culture with a double minor in English and Art. So I read poetry while I was in university, but I never really tried to memorize it or recite it. That's something I just started doing recently. Yeah, I just started doing it. I don't know. It takes me a while to memorize. I have a pretty terrible memory, I think. It takes me a long time to memorize something, but once I memorize it, it's pretty permanently there. It takes forever to memorize something, though. I don't know what. I'm not sure how to make it go faster. Like a poem the length of the Pied Piper probably took me about 6 months to memorize the whole thing. I think I've got a little faster, but it still takes, I don't know, it's still really, still very arduous. Human memories are not, like, computer memory is so much more, it's so much faster than human memory. But I think human memory is superior in some ways. I don't know. I'm no scientist, I don't know. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, emotionally superior. Yeah, because like humans can, we can like analyze and think about our memories. Computers can accumulate memories and they store memories very, very well. Human brains don't accumulate. Well, I guess we accumulate memories, but it's hard to access the memories coherently, whereas a computer can access the memories, they can accumulate the memories and access them immediately. Whereas a human brain has to, like, it takes forever to accumulate memory, or like, well, some memories, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, thinking. I think, thinking is like, it's the domain of humanity right now. I don't know how much longer it'll be. We'll have thinking machines. Soon, one day, we will have thinking machines. Holy smoke, it's hot here today. I don't know what's going on. It's usually not this hot here. I should really take August off on this. I should just like book all of August off when I should have booked it off 6 months ago. Climate change, yeah. This summer has been really nice actually. Last 2 summers have been really smoky. Vancouver was covered, like most of July and August was covered with, the sky was like completely covered by smoke screen. And this year it's been really nice. Lots of blue skies, fairly warm, not much rain. Here in Vancouver, anyways. I guess they're having record numbers of wildfires up in Alaska and in Siberia. The Arctic is on fire right now. Yeah, I would say that's caused by climate change. I don't think it's very normal. Have all just about all of the Arctic on fire right now. Well, the old president of the United States thinks it's a hoax. It's a hoax, oh my god. This is the most elaborate conspiracy I've ever did see. Literally billions of conspirators. So I apologize. I can't read the comments from here. So I have to like bend over the table to see them. I wish Twitch would redesign their mobile stream app, because they could fix a few things, like making the font size a little bigger on the comments. Where are you in Europe? Where What part of Europe are you from? Yeah, you guys are getting a heat wave. Yeah, you're way hotter than we are. I don't think we've got a couple days over 30, but we haven't had anything over 4. Haven't had anything in the 40s yet. Maybe in the Okanagan, but not here in Vancouver. So you guys are getting it pretty hard. I think Vancouver will get hit with a heat wave in August here, I think. That's when we get most of our, we get our hottest weather in August. Yeah. Finland, yeah, nice. Yeah, I grew up in Alberta, which is a province next to British Columbia here, and we get really cold winters too. We get minus 30, minus 40 degrees weather. That's why I moved to Vancouver, because it's the only place in Canada that doesn't get weather like that, pretty much. No, we use Celsius most of the time. I don't know. Canadians are sort of we're in limbo between the American system and the metrics, the European or the metric system. So like sometimes we use Fahrenheit for some things, and we only use Celsius for other things. But for weather, we use Celsius. But for the temperature of my oven, I'm using Fahrenheit. So, I don't know, Canadians we're in a strange limbo when it comes to measuring temperature. And we also use the imperial system for like measuring cups and stuff like that too, I think. Well, our gas is sold by the liter here, so we don't, the Americans still do gallons, by the gallon. The Yankees. I don't know why it is. Yeah, but for most things we're on metric though. Like officially we're metric. All of our road signs are in kilometers and all that kind of stuff, right? Bagels, bagels, everyone loves a bagel. Bagels, bagels, everyone loves a bagel. Bagely bagel. Bagels, bagels, everyone loves a bagel. Oh my god, miss one. Some frippies. This one. Let me tell you a story this time. This one is called Rollin' Pie and the Oven Blade. There once was a young man named Rollin' Pie who played the recorder when he wasn't baking bagels. One day he was walking through a park and playing his recorder to rest him off from all his baking when suddenly he spied a corpse lying on the ground beneath a swarm of flies. He put down his recorder, walked over to the corpse, shooed the flies away, and covered the dead man with stones. Returning to his oven later that day, he found that his oven blade had gone on by itself and already baked half the bagels he needed. From that day on, Rollin' Pie was the happiest baker alive. He'd bake it till he was tired, then he'd pull his recorder out of his pocket while his oven blade went on by itself. But Rollin' Pie lived in a town whose mayor did not admire his skill and was jealous of his fame. So the mayor devised a plan to rid the town of Rollin'. In the beginning he said that Rollin' was a good worker but lazy. Next he said that Rollin' baked a whole lot but badly. Then he accused Rollin' of being a sorcerer, and the people turned on him. Therefore Rollin' Pie took his recorder and left his home behind. When Rollin' Pie came to a neighboring town, he went to all the business owners, but none of them would give him any work. Finally, he met an old busker and asked him for work to keep body and mind together. "Come along with me," said the old man, "and we will share alms." So Rollin' Pie and the old man started going around and singing, "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your wealth, although it is golden and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the knots and cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for a thing that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Everybody gave alms to the old man, but Rollin', they said, "What is a young man like you out begging? Why don't you work for a living?" "Nobody will hire me," replied Rollin' Pie. "That's what you say. There's a king with so many hungry soldiers that he'll pay good wages to anyone willing to feed them." So Rollin' Pie went to the king's kitchen and took the old man whose alms he'd been sharing. The oven had never been used by anyone. Rollin' mixed the dough, and he rolled it into rings. Then he boiled them, dressed them with seeds, and baked them until they're golden brown. Then he tossed them into a crate to cool down. Whenever Rollin' wearied of baking, he'd play his recorder. And once he was weary of playing his recorder, he would sing, "Baker, why do you bear those silent things? Baker, how did you forget to stand where your feet are? Baker, no woman loves your wealth, although it is golden and good for her health. Baker, you are too dirty for a lover to wish to preen. Your limbs are the knots and cords of an old-fashioned machine. Baker, line the rings and bash the boards. You don't need their applause for a thing that is yours. You are a baker and are what you are, not by a miracle, but by the work of your arms. Baker, be who you are." Hearing the singing, a princess looked out the window. She saw Roland Hyde and fell in love with him. But she was a princess, and he a baker. The king would never consent to their marriage. So they decided to run away together. They fled at night in a boat. When they're already on the high seas, Roland remembered the busker. He said to his beloved, "We must fetch the old man, since he shared his alms with me. We can't go off and leave him like that." At that very moment, the old man came up behind the boat, walking on the water as though it had been dry land. Reaching the boat, he said, "We agreed to divide everything we had, and I shared everything I owned. Now you have the king's daughter, and must give half of her to me." At this, he gave Roland Hyde a knife to cut his bride in two. Roland Hyde took the knife with a trembling hand. "You are right," he said. "You are perfectly right." He was on the point of cutting his bride in two, when suddenly the old man stopped him. "Stop. I knew you were a just man. I am the dead man, mind you, whom you covered with stones. Go now, and may the two of you always be happy." At this, the old man walked away on the waves. The boat came to an island rich in all good things, with a princely palace awaiting the newlyweds. The end. That was Roland Hyde and the Oven Blade. It's based on an Italian folktale, compiled by, or anthologized by Italo Calvillo. I've made some modifications to the story though. I've changed the name of the protagonist, and I've changed his occupation from a field tiller to a baker. Yeah, the American system is very weird. I agree. Makes no sense at all. No, I do this full time. I work Wednesday to Sunday. My shifts are usually 2:30 to 10:30 Wednesday to Friday, and then on weekends I get to sleep in a little bit. I get up at 4. I work 4 until 11 or 12 usually. No, I couldn't live on part-time. Well, I guess if I had a couple jobs I could, but yeah, Vancouver is pretty expensive, so. Although I've been lucky, I found a nice place to rent. I don't pay very much for rent here, but I have a nice place, so I'm pretty lucky. I think a lot of younger people are struggling finding places to live here. I'm sure it's pretty similar to a lot of European cities, though. We're just, it's new to us because we're a younger nation. Why do I stream? I don't know. I guess for an audience, for my poetry. Yeah, I don't. Just for fun, I guess. I definitely am not making money at it, so I'm not doing it for as a livelihood. So, as you can see from my stream profile, obviously, I have all of 23 followers, I think. Oh, phone's ringing. Dude, let me get the phone. you another poem. It's another Robert Browning poem. Well, maybe. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, Askins to watch the working of his lie on mine, and most scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that cursed and scored its edge at, one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What saved wailing with his lies and snare, all travelers might find him post to bear, and ask the road, I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides a dark power, yet acquiescently at it turned as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end described, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. Hardly tried now to rebuke the spring, my heart being finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely or outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with caribou banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft being writ, so many times among the band wit. The knights who true dark towers search and rest their steps, the just as fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, the hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed, all the days being a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet saw one grim red leader to see the plain spray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged the plain after a pace or two, pausing for backward a last view, over the same road 'twas gone, great plain all round, nothing but plain the horizon found, and must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such stark and noble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove, but chortle and spurge according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You think a bird would be a treasure trove. No penny here to sing for may sing some strange sort word the land's portion. See or close your eyes at nature peevishly, and nothing skills. I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place. Calcite its claws and set my prisoners free. If they're pushing a ragged thistle stalk above its nature's head was chopped, the vents were jealous elves. What made the holes and rents in the dog's harsh short thieves? Bruised as we balk all hope of previous. Tis a brute must walk, passion of the life over the brute's intense. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin dry blades pricked the mud which underneath was beaded up with blood. One stiff blind horse as every bone scared, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service in the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, daunted, callous neck strained, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draft of earlier happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterward, the soldier's art. One taste of old times, such all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him cold. An arm and mind to fix me to that place. That way he used, alas, one night's disgrace. How went my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands. Frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good with the scene shifts, thaw when hangman's hand pinned to his breast of parchment. His own band reads it, poor traitors spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked. With something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the glooms. This and the froth by might have been a bath of the fiend's glowing moon. To see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spoons. So petty and so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it. Drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, a suicidal throng. The river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, turned no wit. Which while I courted good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. Each step afield a spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I feared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad as I to reach the other bank, now for a better country. Vain presage, who were the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage breath could thus pad the dank soil through plash? Toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage. The fight must so have seemed in that foul cirque. What pen was there full plain to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. None out of it, mad brood set to work their brains no doubt like Gallantades Turk, pitchforks pastime Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel or brake, not wheel, the harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Tophet's tool, unearthed left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stub ground, once wood, next to marsh it seemed, now mere earth, desperate and bound by so the fool finds bird, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes and off he goes, within a rude bog, plain and marsh, set in stark black dirt. Now blotches rankling colored gay and grim, now patches where some meanness of the soil broke into moss or substances like boils. Then came a palsied oak, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recoils. As far as ever from the end, not to the distance but the evening dawn, point my footsteps further out to thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's bosom friend, sailed past and beat its wide wing with dragon pen. They brushed my cap and chanced the guide I sought. For looking up where I somehow grew, plain to give place all round the mountains with such names of grace in your heights and deeps now stolen in view. How thus it surprised me solving you? How to get from there was no clear case. Yet have I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps. Here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time, came a click as when the trap shuts her in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once. This was the place, those two hills, crouched like bulls, locked horn in fight, while to left a tall scout mountain, dunce, daughters, are dozing at the very nunch, after a lifetime in training for the sight. Not see, because of night perhaps, one amidst lay with the tower itself, the round squat turret built of bronze, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest mocking out points the ship and rests the unseen shell. He strikes on only when timbers start. Not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back for that. Behind and left the dying sunset kindled to a cloud. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay. Thus stabbed every creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere told, increasing like a bell. Names in my ears of lost adventurers, my peers. How such was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old. Lost when moment knelled the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met. Few the last of me, a living frame. For one more picture, the sheet of flame. I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slug went through my lips, I sat and blew. Child Roland to a dark tower cave. Boy. So I read your comment now. Can't see it from over there. The tool, so these are the bagel boards. They're mahogany bagel boards, and this right here, this paddle, this long paddle is it's called a Shiva. See, it has a handle here, and it has a tapered edge. It's also made out of actually I'm not sure if it's mahogany. It sort of looks like it. I've been told it's not mahogany though. It might be Douglas fir, some fir tree. I don't know. To me, it looks like mahogany, but I've been told it's not, so I'm not actually sure. I was told that it's not mahogany by a carpenter. And I've never looked at the invoice, so I actually don't have the facts to determine whether or not it is mahogany. Yeah, it's called a Shiva. S-H-I-V-A. Shiva. Or I've also seen it spelled S-H-E-E-V-A. I don't know if it's an official name, because I've Googled it before and it doesn't come up. So we call it a Shiva. I call it an oven blade sometimes. Yeah, oven blade, paddle, Shiva. The guys that trained me called it a Shiva. But they spoke Sri Lankan or whatever, Punjabi or whatever language Sri Lankans speak. I don't know what the Punjabi or Hindu, Hindi, whatever. I think there's different kinds of mahogany. Well, yeah, I don't know. These, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is mahogany. It's like, they change color when they're, obviously, they sort of burn when they're out in the oven. They darken in the oven. But they start out sort of like a light tan color, like with a little bit of red in it. Pretty sure the invoice is mahogany, so. I've always been told it's mahogany, so. I guess I could be wrong. Maybe they changed it once. Maybe they've changed it. I'm just using water. I just wipe them with water. I know people think it's oil or something, but no, it's plain old white water. Yeah, this is just water right here. This is water. I put them on the boards because anything that's wet, anything that hits the deck that's wet sticks to it. So you got to put them on the boards. You have to wet the boards, then you put the bagels on the boards into the oven, and then you have to flip them off the boards before the water dries, before all the water is evaporated. Otherwise, the bagel will start to bake to the bagel, or bake to the board. So the reason we use the boards is so that we put them in on something that's wet, so they don't stick to the deck. So yeah, let me tell so the process is so I take the bagels. They're frozen. Our bagels are made at another location. We bring them here frozen. So I put the frozen bagels in here. Then I boil the bagels in this pot. So I'm making sure that they're cooked all the way through. They're tender, not overcooked, not undercooked. Then I throw them on the table. I put them on the boards, I dress them with seeds if I need to. The boards have to be wet so that the bagel doesn't bake to the board. And then so I put the boards into the oven, and then I let them proof. There's a stage where they're proofing, they're just getting big and they're going to dry out, and I don't want any browning to happen. Then I flip them onto the deck and I let them proof on the other side. And then I move them into the center of the oven. I let them brown on one side. And then I flip them and I let them brown on the other side. And then I take them out and put them in the crate to cool down. So that's the whole process. The ingredients in the dough are enriched whole wheat, or unbleached enriched white flour, or all-purpose flour, whatever you call it. Malt barley flour, yeast, water, sugar, salt. What else? Egg. And then there's like specialized. Then there's like other ingredients for specialty bagels, I guess. So, I don't know. Bagels are pretty basic for ingredient wise. So the average temperature of the oven is, it says here it's 380 degrees Fahrenheit. But the actual temperature is probably more like 400 at the back and then like 350 at the front, or 340. So there's quite a drastic difference in temperature. And that's because of the wide door here. A lot of heat escapes from the oven. You want to bake bagels at a fairly, like a medium-high temperature, I guess. Like, I have everything sort of set on medium on my oven, so like it's my oven's at 350, 380, and the flame, my flame are set to about medium flame. Well, let me tell you another story. This one's called The Science of Laziness. There was once a rich man who had just one son, and the boy was dearly loved by his father. As everybody knows, the greatest scourge on earth for a rich man is work. Therefore, when his son turned 14, the father decided to send him to school to learn the science of laziness. On the same street as the rich man there lived a famous and highly respected professor who had never done a lick of work in his life he could get out of doing. The rich man called on him and found him stretched out in the garden under a fig tree with a cushion under his head, a cushion under his back, and a cushion under his buttocks. Before talking to him, I must first see how he does, said the rich man to himself, and he hid behind a hedge to observe the man. The professor lay as still as a corpse with his eyes closed. The only time he stirred was whenever he heard the thud of a ripe fig falling on the ground near where he lay. He'd reach slowly out, bring the fruit to his mouth, and swallow it. Then he wouldn't stir again until another fig fell. This is just the professor my son needs, sighed the rich man. Then he came out from his hiding place, introduced himself, and asked the professor if he'd teach his son the science of laziness. Old man, said the professor just above a whisper, don't talk so much. It tires me to listen to you. If you want to bring your son up as you and I are, just send him to me. At this, the rich man went home, took his son by the hand, thrust a feathered pillow under his arm, and led him to the garden. I urge you, he told him, to do everything you see this professor of idleness do. The boy, who already had an inclination for that particular science, also stretched out under the fig tree. Observing his teacher, he saw him reach for every fig that fell and bring it to his mouth. Why should I work myself to death reaching for figs, he thought, and he lay there with his mouth wide open. Soon a fig fell into his mouth, and he let it go down slowly. Then another fig fell. Then he reopened his mouth. Another fig fell. This time it missed. He lay there perfectly still and murmured, why so wide of the mark? Fig fall into my mouth. Seeing how wise his pupil already was, the professor said, go on now. You have nothing to learn from me. You can even teach me something. So the boy went home to his father, who thanked heaven for having given him such a smart son. The end. That was The Science of Laziness. I'm gonna shut down the stream pretty soon. I'm gonna go get me a coffee. Sweet angels of merciful caffeination. Sweet angels of merciful caffeination. Imbue me with your pleasant intoxication. Hey, thanks for watching. It might be back tomorrow, I don't know. Those are ready. Maybe I'll recite the Declaration of Independence before I leave. We'll leave you with that inspiring piece of legislation or whatever it is. It's not legislation. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, and assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them a decent respect of the opinions of mankind, requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed, and whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of people to alter or abolish it, and institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Excuse me. Sorry, I have to hold it in. I don't want to sneeze on the bagels. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes. And experience accordingly has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer when evils are sufferable than right themselves by altering the forms to which they have become accustomed. But when long trained of uses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of England is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused assent to laws most wholesome and necessary for the public good. That's all I know of that one. yeah, I think that's all she wrote for today. Have a wonderful day.